we are the industry's premier laboratory informatics consulting company, providing to our customers the expertise and services required to plan, implement, and validate their various laboratory informatics solutions. We do this through our team's blend of scientific domain expertise, laboratory informatics knowledge, as well as knowledge within the computer systems validation. One trend that many of our customers are experiencing is corporate initiatives for their laboratories to become leaner, greener, and more compliant. As many of these same customers have some level of informatics solutions, such as LIMS, chromatography data systems, in their laboratory, they are now considering electronic lab notebooks as the puzzle piece to bring the lab all together and meet these mandated objectives. Today, many laboratories typically have LIMS supported by non-integrated paper-based systems, such as their ERP, MRP systems, such as JD Edwards or SAP. They also have their SOPs. Sometimes they're out on a shared drive or in an electronic data management system. A combination of Excel spreadsheets, hardbound laboratory notebooks, paper worksheets, instruments that may or may not be integrated with the LIMS system or the chromatography data system, and tribal knowledge. So let's take a brief look at what this can look like from a lab systems perspective. With LIMS being in the center, to the left you'll notice that we have the other informatics solutions. Their degree of integration may vary from lab to lab, but these areas can typically be optimized further. For example, the chromatography data system can have a bidirectional interface to LIMS. Many times, systems such as SAP or JD Edwards only have a single interface to LIMS or not interfaced at all and may not be properly integrated. Then, as we move to the right of LIMS, you'll notice that we have the non-integrated instruments, paper-based notebooks, SOPs, and work instructions. In short, a lot of opportunity for error in the laboratory. Now, let's take a look at that same laboratory from the analyst perspective. The analyst is responsible for extracting data from various sources, whether it be the LIMS, the instruments themselves, SOPs, work instructions, taking data off of labels, performing calculations in spreadsheets, recording notes in paper-based lab notebooks, and then taking these results and entering all this information back into LIMS. Many of these steps are executed by using tribal knowledge, which I define tribal knowledge as word-of-mouth type instruction and training. So with so much to do, mistakes are inevitable. So let's take a minute and review the current situation. So today's labs are typically a hybrid of paper and fragmented, non-integrated systems. Data collection in these laboratories is often inefficient and costly to manage, where transcription errors are very common. Analyses are frequently not performed the same way by all users. Data may not be available to all the people in the lab that need access to it. And checks for training, whether reagents have expired or not, appropriate selection of in-calibration instruments may be missed or just ignored in the lab. Also, audit trail is lacking on many of these sources. Stored or data output, intermediate calculations, or reports used in preparing these final results. So now let's introduce ELN into the equation as it is today. It is still a relatively new product, meaning that it's been introduced within the last 5 to 10 years. Right now there are two primary types of ELN. One is procedure-based for method execution, more prevalent in the QA/QC environment, and the other one for experiment management, which is more traditionally used in the R&D environment. For method execution, the focus is typically on the test, and they provide real-time control and automation over the various testing procedures in the laboratory, meaning that they ensure every step of the SOP is followed by the analyst. Experiment management side, on the R&D side, focuses more primarily on the intellectual property management and improving the researcher's capabilities. So today, being that we're looking at leaner, greener, and more compliant, we're looking towards the cost center of the laboratory, which is typically the quality laboratory. So that's where we're going to focus the remainder of our discussion today.